Hi, my name is Emily.
And I'm Marina.
And we're from Silly Club. We are very lucky to have Nicky here to talk to us today about diversity and growing up biracial. Nicky currently works with the Anti-Defamation League as a facilitator and is passionate about working with and empowering the youth.
She was born and raised in San Diego and attended Mount Miguel High School. Nicky went to USD and went on to teach for 6 years. Help me welcome with a round of applause.
That was awesome. I didn't actually expect you to do that. That was really cool. This is so weird. Like in the spotlight. Wow. Is my afro clear? Can you guys see it? Wasn't as big today. Yes! Apparently you guys like afros. That's awesome. Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm so thrilled, so excited to be here with you today. Actually, don't hold this against me. Please. I worked right down the road at Cathedral Catholic High School. Only got a couple boos, that was pretty good. I've never been on your campus, but I've known a few students that go to this school, and coming on this campus, all the things that I thought about you and how I would feel coming here came true. And that is that you are an amazing community of students that I would love to work with. Students that are compassionate and accepting, and students who think outside the box. That performance was absolutely incredible. I've never heard any choir at any school sound like that. Give it up. That was absolutely amazing. You sounded incredible. It is really truly an honor to be here with you today. This is what I love doing. The reason that I work with the Anti-Defamation League is because I truly love being in front of amazing students like you. This is what I was made to do. Working as a teacher at Cathedral, and I actually taught at St. John, and some of my 5th graders are in the house, yeah. So teaching was something I was like, you know what, I love helping kids. And that was a decision I made when I was in college. I went into college thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to be a physical therapist. I love sports and I love helping people, so let's combine those. Yeah, well, Nicky's not so great at science, so that didn't work out for me. But what I did discover is how much I love to teach and how much I love to be around kids, you know, from a really young age to your age being here in high school. And so this is really such an honor for me to be here because you are my passion. You are what I love and really care about in this world. My goal and what I try to do every day is do something to help someone else. And I'm most concerned and most passionate about you because I believe in you so much, and I think that our future of the world is so bright because of all of you. So this is truly, like I said, an honor, and I'm so happy to be here and so happy that the ADL, along with Miss Bryant, encouraged me and asked me to be here with you today. So I truly thank them also for that. I'm going to ask you guys some questions today, and there are things that I want you to think about. One of the biggest things is, what do you stand for? What are you about in this world? And those are things that you'll probably answer a few different times in your life. And I know those are things that I've thought about a few times. What do you stand for? What are you about? What are you about as an individual? What are you about as a community here at CCA? And how is that going to carry you to the decisions that you're going to make in your life? I'm going to take this off real quick because I don't like standing still. I get like antsy, like I don't like to just be like this. I like to like move around and jump, which is why my voice is the way it is. Good thing I know how to work on mic, huh? How do you do this? Someone tell me. Pull it. Pull it towards me. It's gonna hit me in the face. That's funny. Ha! All right. Yes. Moving around. Wait. Every time. Can you hear me? Yeah. Forget you. Robbins is? 2 people. Woo! Tony Robbins is an amazing man who's been doing life coaching and motivational speaking for about 35 years now. And I had the opportunity to go to one of his big events that he calls Unleash the Power Within. Doesn't that sound cool? Like I just dive over the orchestra right now. So he's all about people living their life to the fullest. And so in this past weekend, I was jumping around. We were, just like jumping up and yelling and screaming. So this amazing voice that you hear right now is not my typical voice, but it's going to work good enough for today. So if I sound a little raspy, just be like, oh yeah, that's a pretty good voice, Nick. I love it. So a decision. I made the decision that this is what I really want to do. It's the reason why I left Cathedral. I left because I have a desire and a passion to do this, to speak about what I love and what I'm passionate about and do what I can to help all of you and answer questions and just be there for you and let you know that there are people who care about you and want the best for you. And you have to take responsibility. God bless you. So you have to also take responsibility in figuring out what you stand for. What are you about? And throughout our history, people have made decisions. Some of them good, some of them bad. Some of them have cost people their lives. But they figured out what they stood for. The things that they were going to let slide and the things that they refused to let go. That was crazy. Whoa. Man, this is so cool. So people had to make a decision. They had to figure out what will I stand for and what will I let go. And it starts with something small. And that's one of the main points that I want you to realize today is that it starts here at the base, the foundation of something. It all starts with something little and it booms and grows into something bigger. And sometimes that could be a really good thing, and sometimes it really is terrible. And in the case of what we're here to talk about, what I'm here to talk about with you in terms of historical oppression and just times in our history when things weren't so great, and then kind of get you to the point where we're speaking about right now. Because what I most am concerned about is that these things that I'm going to mention to you, they're things that you know, they're things that you've heard many people speak about, but do you know that it still goes on right here, right now? We're in 2013, and discrimination still happens. To me, that's a huge problem. How have we not gotten further than that in our lives? But see, there's always a group. There's always a target. There's always someone or a group of people that for whatever reason, someone decides to point the finger at them and say, it's your fault. You're less than. We fear you. So, does anyone like Star Wars in the house? A lot more people that like Star Wars than knew who Tony Robbins was. Okay. So, my boy Yoda, why are you laughing? I can't be friends with some cool Greek dude? Like, come on. Yoda has this really awesome quote. He says that fear is the path of the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. And hate leads to, my man?
Dark side.
The dark side and suffering. Okay? So it starts with fear. So if you think about groups throughout time, it's all started with fear. That's been the root of it. Fear has made people say things, blame people, and do things that maybe they wouldn't do if they weren't so scared and they weren't so afraid of a certain person or a group of people. So it can start by fear. It can also start by saying something like this. And I don't know if everyone can see this, but what it says is, a woman's place is in the what? Kitchen. A woman's place is in the kitchen. That's what they said about women. You're not smart enough. You're not strong enough. You don't belong in the workforce. You don't belong in war. That's not where you belong. You're less than. You're not equal to a man. You belong in the kitchen. Go make dinner. Go take kids, vacuum the house, do the laundry, learn how to sew. And then from there it ended up, okay, we'll let you in the workforce, but you're supposed to know how to type. Just know how to type. Do that. Be a secretary, an administrative assistant. Maybe you could be a teacher, but no, nothing like that. You can't be an executive. You can't be a big, high CEO in a company. That's not where you belong. You're not strong enough. You're too weak. You're not smart enough. And in fact, because we think you're less than, we're not going to give you the right to vote. You're not smart enough to do that. You don't have the privileges that a man does. You don't deserve that. A man only deserves that. A man only has a right to be executive, to be a CEO, to be president. That's what they said about women. That's what they told women in those days. That's what they told women. You're not strong enough. That's not where you belong. You belong in the kitchen. Let me tell you something. I don't belong in the kitchen. You don't want to see me in the kitchen. You know. I'm just saying. Do we understand that people still have that mentality? It may not be as graphic and as in our face as a woman's place is in the kitchen. People don't typically say that nowadays, and if they do, they most likely get slapped by a woman. But people still think it. In fact, in the last presidential election, wasn't it a big issue that people were talking about the pay that women get compared to men? Right? That was one of the big issues. Yes or yes? Yes. Okay. So, yeah, I didn't give you an option. There was no no. Yes or yes. But it was a big issue. What do you feel? Why aren't women paid the same amount that a man makes? They're in the same exact position, but because I'm a woman, I'm not going to get paid as much? Oh no. That's not okay with me. And I've had to decide that for myself. That's what I stand for. And women in that time decided that that's what they stood for too. That they were going to decide, no, I'm just as good, I'm just as smart, and I'm just as strong. And I can do what you can do. And I'll do it with a lot more pizzazz too, so take that. The guys are going to despise me by the time I'm done with this. I apologize for this. But people stood up. Women stood up and said, this is what I stand for. And when they decided to do that, some decided, you know what, I'm not just going to say something, I'm going to chain myself to a government building. I'm going to use picket signs and start some sort of revolution and a movement because they figured out what they were going to stand for. And then it started with a star. It started with, you have to wear this to identify yourself as this person. And in fact, you know what? We're going to make sure that we have complete control over you and dictate what time you can be outside, so we're going to give you a curfew. And after that, we're going to take away the stores that you own and the rights that you have. And then we're going to snatch you out of bed in the middle of the night, guns banging on people's doors, pulling people out of houses, putting them in buses, and taking them to the worst possible conditions you could ever imagine. And if you go to the right, that's where you become a working slave. And if you go to the left, that's where the gas chambers are. But it started with a star. It started with dictating someone's time. It always starts with something and explodes and turns into something big and tragic. And people tried to stand up. And fortunately enough for us, we have people that have survived such horrific circumstances that can come and speak to us and say, you can't let this happen again. You can't allow this to happen in your society. It might not be the same group, but there's always a group. It could be women. It could be Jewish people. Who's next? Who's the next group that we're going to decide we're going to point our finger at them? Let's see if you know who this quote is from. We knew Yoda. But do we know who said, the Jew is a race, but not human. Who said that? Yeah, thank you. That's what he said. Dehumanizing. Women, you're less than men. We're going to dehumanize you. We're going to put you down to this level. Jew, you're a race, but you're not human. Dehumanizing. Taking away someone's personal identity and stripping it down to make it seem like they are less than somebody else. How did he do it? How did he convince so many people that the Jews were to blame? That they pointed a finger. They drew cartoons. They made people wear a star to identify who they are. He did it because he made people afraid. He was able to do such horrific things because he put fear in the hearts of other people. That's what they did with the women. We can't let women do this. Women need to stay down here. We can't let them rise up and be equal. We can't let the Jews rise up and be equal. It's their fault. He put fear in the minds of everybody that he saw. And that's what started the horrific event we know as an Holocaust. It didn't start off as an Holocaust. We know that, right? Yeah, it didn't start off there. It started down here. It started with a scar. It started with a curfew. It started with putting fear in the hearts of people. It started with a sign. We serve whites only. White people, here's your bathroom, your fountain, your school. Here, have a seat at the front of the bus. There's where all the colored people go. There's the bathroom you can use. There's the drinking fountain you can use, and you are not welcome here. You're not welcome in our schools. You're not welcome in our restaurants. We serve whites only. Black people were called monkeys, animals. Again, fear, dehumanizing. It's all based on those two things. We're afraid. So we're going to make sure you stay down here. We don't want you up here with us. You don't belong there. We don't want to give you any sort of power. We don't want to make it seem like you're equal to us. So you can take your place in the back of the bus. It starts with we serve whites only. And then it comes to big hoses, hosing people down, people flying in the air, dying, getting injured, getting trampled on and beat. Then it goes to setting a bus on fire. And then it goes to people hanging from trees. But it started with a sign. We serve whites only. You're not as good as us. You're not as smart as we are. You don't deserve the same things that we deserve. You're less than. You're less than. And then people figured out what they stood for. With women, it took some women to say, look, this is what we stand for. During the time of the Holocaust, I talked from this book called The Hiding Place. Has anyone ever heard of the book, The Hiding Place? A few people. I talked from that book when I was teaching at Cathedral, and it's a book that has impacted me greatly because in the midst of knowing what would happen to them, there was this Christian family, which there were many, who decided that they were going to stand up to something. And so they decided to hide Jewish people in their house to try and save them from the horrific path to the concentration camp. So every time there's been people that have stood up and have said, enough is enough. Rosa Parks, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, we can name tons of people who decided to stand up, who decided to say enough is enough. I refuse to allow this to happen any longer, knowing what was at stake for them. It was always punishment by going to jail. It started with that, and then things just got more and more horrific after that. But people knew what they stood for, and they knew they weren't going to stand for that any longer, no matter what it would cost them. So we have women. We have Jewish people. We have black people, or anybody that might be a little bit darker skinned than white. What about now? Because we look at those things and are like, oh, yeah, but Nicky, those were so, we weren't even alive then. What does that have to do with us? That was 100 years ago. That was 60 years ago, 70 years ago, 40 years ago, whatever it is. That has nothing to do with me. Oh, really? Because, women have all the rights that men do and get equal treatment? Nope. Because people don't discriminate against people who are Jewish? No, they still do that too. Wow. Are there still places in the world and in our own nation where people look down on people who are black? Oh yes, that still goes on too. Wow. That's today. That's in 2013. These are not historical events only. They exist right now. But let me ask you this. Who's today's target? Oh, that was quick. We know. We know who the target is. It was women, it was Jewish people, it was black people, and man, we're so sophisticated that we're going to move on to the LGBT community. Good job, guys. You're awesome. Have we really gotten that far? It's just another group to be a target. It's just another group to blame, to not give rights to dehumanize because we're afraid. It starts with a saying. That's so gay. How many of us have heard that one before? Oh, look at that. Every hand went up. Surprising. That's so gay. What are people saying when they say that? Are they saying that's so gay? Like, oh my gosh, that cone, it's so gay. It likes other cones. Right? No. That's not what they're me a favor. Try to stop saying it. It's going to take effort, I know, because if it's become a part of your normal vocabulary, it's difficult to take that out. But I just want you to think about what you're actually saying. If you think something is stupid, say, that's so stupid. If you think something is dumb, say, that's so dumb. Don't say that's so gay, unless that's what you really mean. Don't use the word gay to think of something as less than. Because you might as well be one of the men back in the time when women didn't have rights. Or you might as well be a teammate of Hitler's. Or you might as well been with the KKK. It's the same thing. You might not think it is, but it is. Any sort of discrimination that starts with that's so gay, or women belong places in the kitchen, or wearing a scarf, it always starts there. But we know where it ends. So let's stop it down here. Let's get rid of that kind of idea, that kind of conversation, that kind of talk, that kind of thought process here before it gets way too big. I grew up in Spring Valley. Does anyone know where that is? 4 people, 5 people. Spring Valley is not the best area of San Diego to grow up in. It's not the worst, but it's not the best. My mom had me at a young age. She was 20 years old. She wasn't married. She was part of a Catholic family, very traditional Catholic family. And my dad is black. Single woman, 20 years old, not married, having a baby by a black guy. Let me tell you something. It didn't look real good for my mom. Those were not things that people were like, look at how great she's doing. They were like, wow, could it get any worse? You're single, you're white, you're going to have a biracial child. Good luck with that. They didn't give me and my mom a very good chance to make it. If you look at what statistics say about a kid that grows up in Spring Valley who's biracial and has a single mom, the statistics don't look that good. Going to Mount Miguel High School, people used to say and still say, nothing good comes out of Spring Valley. Nothing good comes out of Mount Miguel High School. You know what I have to say to them? Look at me now. I was fortunate enough to have a mom who is so strong, who decided even when people were telling her, man, I don't know if it's a good idea if you have that kid, she said yes to me anyway. She decided that I was worth it. She decided that she was going to do whatever it took to make sure that we weren't just another statistic. My mom is my hero. She decided that, you know what? This is a tough situation. And people may talk about me. And people may stop being friends with me because of it. And we might not have a lot of great things, but we will make it. We will make it. I will work hard and I will give her what I can. She's my hero. I'm lucky to have a mom like I have. But not everyone's as lucky as me. Not everyone had such a great support system around them when everyone else said, you'll never make it. See, I played softball and basketball at Mount Miguel, and we went up to a softball tournament up at Kit Carson Park in Escondido. And our uniforms consisted of t-shirts. Everyone else had their fancy uniforms and matching bags, and they marched in there and they looked like an army. We strolled in there, different length shorts, ratted up knee pads, a t-shirt as our uniform. And as we walked by, there were some dads and a couple coaches, and they said, oh, those poor Mount Miguel girls, they'll never make it. It's such a shame they were given so little. They'll never make it. They don't have a chance. You're right, we don't have a chance, but we went out there and whipped all of you guys and won the tournament, so take that. That can only happen, you guys, if people will wake up. If people will see that discriminating against anyone for where they grow up, for what kind of hair they might have, for being biracial, for being gay, whatever the reason may be, there is no room ever for discriminating against anyone, ever. There's no, you cannot give me a good reason. I will smack it right back in your face because there's not room for it. But I need your help. You see, when I look out here, I'm like, wow, am I so excited for the future of our country and of this world. Because I look at students like you who have a much more open mind and open heart to accept a biracial gay woman to stand up in front of you at your school and speak to you about these issues. That could have never happened even, 40, 50 years ago? That would have never happened. I wouldn't have been allowed to walk on this campus. But yet I'm here. So I need your help. We can't let this happen anymore. I don't care if it's a woman's place is in the kitchen or a star or we serve whites only or that's so gay. It has to be done. There's no room for it. And you can have an effect on that every single day of your life. When one of your friends says that's so gay, you can say something to them. Say, you know what? I don't really like that you say that. In fact, I know someone who has an awesome afro that's gay, and you know what? She's better than what you just said. I need your help. People out there need your help. We can all make this such a better place, but we have to recognize when it's small and squish it then, and destroy it then. Because if we let it get to a bigger level, tragic things happen. And we don't have space for that anymore. It can't be allowed to happen anymore. So you have to ask yourself, what do I stand for? What do I stand for as an individual, and what do I stand for as a member of this beautiful community at CCA? Because you're different here. You've been given an amazing school. This place is gorgeous. You have this great campus. You're around people who are just so brilliant in so many different ways. You're around a school that's willing to do this. To be a part of the Butterfly Project, to have a choir that sounds like that, and have a person that comes from a background like me to come up here and speak to you. You are in an amazing spot, and you have to do something with that. If you're just like, damn, this is cool that I go to CCA, this is pretty awesome, I have this amazing theater, I go to this awesome school, I've been given a lot of things, that's real cool, but you sit on it and you don't do anything with it, then it's useless. Go out there and do something with what you've been given. See, I wasn't given much, but I knew that what I had, I was going to do what I could with it to make a difference. And I don't come from some fancy background. I don't have an amazing story of all these things I've overcome and da-da-da-da. I'm just a person who wants to make a difference and will not accept discrimination of any kind. Anybody can decide to do that, no matter where you come from. But I'm putting it on you because I know what you're like. I've met the students from this school. These students that were up here today, that introduced me, that were a part of this club that you have on campus, I met them at a cyberbullying conference not too long ago. They are fantastic people, and they represented you so incredibly well. I am proud of who you are and what this campus represents. But I'm going to give you a task. I'm going to need you to step up and decide that this is what we stand for. CCA will never allow discrimination. CCA will never be okay with anyone being discriminated against. I need you to do that. And maybe some of you will, and maybe some of you won't. But even if one more person decides to do it, that's enough for me. Because that means that you've decided to stand up for something greater. To stand up for something that's necessary, to stand up for something that we all need before it gets way too far. I'm not sure who it will be after the LGBT community. I don't know. It seems like there'll always be a group. But maybe there won't. Maybe we finally decided that enough is enough. Maybe your generation is as great as I know you are, and you will say, we will not allow discrimination no matter what. No matter what it is, we will decide to love and accept and encourage and empower people from all walks of life. That's my hope in talking to you today. I don't come up here for myself. I come up here to make a difference. You gonna help me out, yes or yes? I believe in you guys so much, I honestly do. I know I haven't met all of you individually, but let me just tell you from the bottom of my heart, and if you ask anybody who's ever had me as a teacher, or ask the students that were at the cyberbullying conference, I care about you. And I want great things. And I'm so just over the top impressed with who you are at this school. And there's a lot of you in this theater right now. And this group can make such a big difference, not only on this campus, but wherever you decide to go. And that's my hope for you. It's hard. It's difficult to stand up for what you believe in. It's not easy. If you look at the events of the past, it cost somebody their life. It cost many people their lives. But I guarantee you they will do it again. I guarantee you it was worth knowing what they stood for and knowing what kind of impact they were able to make. And my hope is in you. My belief is in you. My passion is in you. And I know that you will do all the things that I know you're capable of doing. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here. Questions about anything. I was told that this group is so extremely intelligent that they'll ask me questions, and I'm like, hope I have the answer. I don't know. But does anybody at all have a question? Yes, sir.
I'm a Holocaust survivor. My name is Khan. I found something that I will share with you.
Okay.
It was done today, and it's done so many times. It was said that so many children died in the Holocaust. Unfortunately, we have to stick to the food in the harsh word that did not die, they were killed. And this is what we should remember.
Yes, sir. That's absolutely.
Because so many times I've heard in a talk and stuff like this, and people say, oh, these people died. But they're dying, they have the illness, they have the weak, but these people did not die. They were killed.
Right.
And this is something, it's a strong word, but we should remember.
It's absolutely true. Sometimes we skate around like, oh yeah, you know, they died. No, it wasn't of their doing. It was someone else's doing. And when it's someone else's doing, that means someone is killed, not that they died. I completely agree with you. Let's not skate around it. Let's be real. The only time that we can make changes is when we're real with each other, when we're honest and truthful. So that's absolutely, thank you. Yes, sir.
It is possibly constructed that saying something is dumb/stupid would be discriminating against people who actually are.
Well, people use that word too, and it's difficult for me to say the R word, but people use that, oh, that's so retarded. Like, you're retarded. That was a word that was used as actually a discriminatory word against people with mental illness, and so words have changed over time, but choose a different word. I don't know if it's right for us to say anything is dumb or stupid at all, because it's just not nice, period, right? But I get what you're saying. So people often might use the word retarded. Well, that was a word that's specifically assigned to actually someone with a mental illness. So let's not use words that discriminate against anyone. How about that? Like, no matter what it is, right? There's so many other words we could use out there, and those aren't ones that are going to send any sort of positive message, right? Absolutely. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
You're an amazing person.
You know what's so funny is that guy right there was like, why am I here? Yeah, he didn't even know why he came in the theater today, and then his response is that, thank you. That honestly means a lot to me. I mean, I might stand up here and I'm laughing about it or whatever, but that really means a lot to me. So thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate it. Anyone else? Do I have a hand somewhere back there? Somewhere. Yes, whoever's hand, I can't see that. Oh, way back there by the exit sign.
Oh, this isn't much of a question, but I just think I speak for the entire school when I say that we all really appreciate that you're here. Thank you.
One time for maybe one. I see a hand way back there. Yes.
Yeah, like about the choosing different words and the English language, what about word treadmills, where originally one thing is used as like, it's a non-discriminatory, but then people start using that word as discriminatory. It's like an example would be like lame, and then people say lame is offensive to people who are handicapped, so we use handicapped, and then we use like disabled, and then we use differently able. But yeah, that just, I feel like even if you use a different word, and then that word will eventually start to be used.
What is that? When you say that something is lame, what do you actually mean though? Does that mean like you don't like it, or you would choose something else?
Well, I don't know. I'm not putting my personal opinion
Right.
on this. I'm just wondering, like.
Right. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not the words itself.
Right.
It's just the general feeling that things like that something is bad.
Right. Absolutely. So maybe it's all about actually saying what you mean. Because when I say that if you say, oh, that's so lame, what do you actually mean by that? Do you mean that it like has, a bad leg and they limp? Like, obviously that's not what you mean. So what do you actually mean? And we use words to cover up things all the time, which is why there's such a wheel. But how about actually saying what you mean? If you don't like something, just say, I don't like that. That's super difficult, right? But you're absolutely right. Words, they just, because we're conscious of it and we don't want to hurt people's feelings and everything, just say what you mean. Just, if you don't like something, say I don't like it. Don't use another word to try and describe it. And that's difficult because we're in a community, we're in a society where, we use lots of different words, but let's just say what we mean. And if we don't like something, we don't always have to say it either. If something's going to come out of your mouth, make it something positive instead of something negative. How about that?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. This is the real guy right here. Wait until you hear him speak. Thank you.